For most people who knew Ethan Parker, his life appeared almost perfect. At 34 years old, he had built a successful construction company in Chicago through years of discipline, sleepless nights, and relentless determination. His business was growing faster than anyone expected. His home stood in one of the city's most desirable neighborhoods, and his marriage looked like something others squy. His wife, Claire Parker, seemed to fit naturally into the image of a successful life. She carried herself with effortless confidence and possessed the kind of beauty that did not need attention but attracted it anyway. Friends often admired how balanced the couple appeared. Ethan was calm and dependable, while Claire brought warmth and energy into every room she entered. Then there was Ryan Mitchell. Ryan had been Ethan's closest friend for nearly 25 years. Their friendship began when they were children and somehow survived every stage of life afterward. They had grown up together, made mistakes together, celebrated successes together, and stood beside one another during life's worst moments. Ethan trusted Ryan in a way few people ever trusted another human being. Trust had always come naturally to Ethan. He believed loyalty was simple. People either had it or they did not. Since he considered himself loyal, he assumed those closest to him operated the same way. That assumption would eventually become the most expensive mistake of his life. The changes had started slowly. The dangerous thing about betrayal was that it rarely arrived dramatically. It usually entered quietly, almost politely, and made itself comfortable before anyone realized it was there. Ethan's company had recently won a major commercial contract worth millions of dollars. The opportunity represented everything he had worked for during the last decade. It also demanded nearly all his time. Weeks gradually transformed into endless cycles of meetings, construction sites, paperwork, travel schedules, and late nights at the office. At first, Claire appeared understanding. She supported him, encouraged him, and reminded him that success required sacrifice. She knew how important the project was and seemed proud of his achievements. Ethan felt grateful. He believed he had found the rare kind of partner who understood ambition rather than resentment. Meanwhile, Ryan started visiting their home more often. At first, the visits felt natural. He occasionally brought coffee, helped with small repairs around the house, or simply stopped by during weekends. Ethan never thought twice about it because Ryan had practically become family years ago. Over time, the visits became increasingly frequent. Strangely, Ethan noticed them less rather than more. Long workdays had begun exhausting him. He returned home mentally drained and physically tired. His attention shifted toward deadlines and responsibilities. Life moved quickly enough that small details escaped him. Claire started spending more time on her phone. Ryan occasionally avoided eye contact. Conversations sometimes ended abruptly whenever Ethan entered a room. None of these moments seemed meaningful individually. Together, however, they formed the beginning of a pattern. Patterns often remain invisible until someone already knows where to look. Ethan did not know where to look. The following months moved with the deceptive rhythm of normal life. From the outside, everything appeared stable. Ethan continued expanding his company. Claire continued maintaining the image of a supportive wife. Ryan remained the reliable best friend who seemed permanently connected to Ethan's family. But beneath appearances, invisible shifts Eventually, she began searching for something that made her feel noticed again. Ryan happened to be nearby. Ryan had spent years living under Ethan's shadow without admitting it even to himself. Ethan had always been the successful one. Ethan built businesses. Ethan attracted respect naturally. Ethan married the woman Ryan secretly found beautiful long before the wedding ever happened. Ryan never consciously planned betrayal. People often imagined betrayal as a deliberate decision made in a single moment. Reality rarely worked that way. More often, betrayal formed through hundreds of small choices that felt harmless individually. Long conversations became regular conversations. Regular conversations became private conversations. Private conversations became emotional dependence. Emotional dependence eventually crossed boundaries neither person initially intended to cross. By the time guilt finally arrived, the damage had already begun. Claire and Ryan convinced themselves that circumstances explained everything. Ethan worked too much. Ethan was absent. Ethan no longer noticed details. They told themselves stories that made selfish decisions appear understandable. People often created narratives that protected them from seeing themselves as villains. And for a while, those narratives worked. Then reality started creating cracks. One evening, Ethan returned home unexpectedly after a client meeting ended early. The house felt unusually silent. Claire seemed nervous. Ryan had apparently left only minutes earlier. None of that felt important by itself, but Ethan noticed something strange. Claire looked surprised to see him. Not happy, not excited, surprised. The expression disappeared almost instantly. Most people would have forgotten it. Ethan almost did. Almost. Over the next week, tiny observations began connecting together inside his mind. Ryan suddenly became unavailable on certain evenings. Claire smiled at messages she quickly hid. Certain details no longer aligned. Certain explanations felt slightly forced. Nothing represented proof. Yet uncertainty had entered Ethan's thoughts like a small stone inside a shoe. Tiny discomforts often became impossible to ignore once noticed. For the first time in years, he experienced something unfamiliar. Doubt. He hated it immediately. Ethan considered himself rational. Suspicion felt ugly to him. He did not want to become the type of husband who monitored phones or questioned friendships. So he tried ignoring the feeling. He buried himself deeper inside work. Unfortunately, buried instincts often continue growing underground. Several days later, Ethan attended a business dinner downtown. Halfway through the evening, severe weather suddenly moved across Chicago. Heavy rain covered the city streets, while strong winds disrupted traffic. Ethan decided to leave early. He thought Claire might appreciate the surprise. The drive home felt strangely peaceful. Rain struck the windshield while city lights blurred into moving colors. For reasons he could not explain later, he felt excited. He remembered the early years of his marriage. He remembered spontaneous nights together. He remembered the feeling that home represented comfort rather than responsibility. When he finally pulled into the driveway, he noticed Ryan's truck parked nearby. His heartbeat slowed, then accelerated. Ryan visited often. There was nothing strange about Ryan being there. Nothing strange at all. Yet the uneasiness returned instantly. Ethan entered quietly. The television was running downstairs. No one sat in the living room. The kitchen lights remained on. 2 wine glasses rested on the counter. Rain continued falling outside. The house itself felt almost frozen. Then he heard movement upstairs. For several seconds, Ethan stood completely still. His instincts already knew something his mind still refused to accept. People often sense the truth long before they allowed themselves to believe it. Slowly, he climbed the stairs. Each step felt heavier than the last. Halfway up, he heard laughter, then silence, then hurried movement. His stomach tightened. The hallway upstairs seemed unusually long. Every instinct inside him fought against continuing forward. Because somewhere deep down, part of him already understood that some doors changed lives permanently once opened, and Ethan Parker was only a few steps away from opening one. Ethan continued walking. The sound of rain against the windows had somehow become louder. It felt as if reached the top of the stairs, he saw movement near the bedroom. Ryan stood near the partially open door. Claire stood several feet behind him. Neither of them expected Ethan to be there. That single moment lasted only seconds, yet Ethan would remember every detail years later with painful clarity. People often remember disasters differently from ordinary memories. Regular moments slowly faded over time, but painful moments seemed to carve themselves permanently into the mind. He remembered Ryan's pale face. He remembered Claire's eyes widening. He remembered the heavy feeling that suddenly settled in his chest. Most importantly, he remembered the strange absence of surprise inside himself. Shock existed, pain existed, confusion existed, but beneath all of them was a quiet realization that his instincts had already prepared him for this. Human beings often recognize the truth before they consciously accepted it. Suddenly, dozens of small memories returned all at once. Ryan canceling plans unexpectedly. Claire hiding her phone screen. The strange tension inside ordinary conversations. The unexplained distance. The missing pieces finally connected. Ethan stood there staring at two people he had trusted more than anyone else. Neither person moved. Neither person seemed capable of moving. There were no dramatic screams, no immediate explosion of anger, no shattered objects or violent reactions. Real betrayal sometimes arrived with complete silence. The silence itself became unbearable. Inside Ethan's mind, emotions crashed into one another so quickly that he could barely separate them. Disbelief collided with humiliation. Sadness collided with anger. Love collided with resentment. For years he had built his life brick by brick, believing the foundation beneath him was solid. Now he realized the foundation itself had been cracking for a long time. The worst part was not simply losing a wife. The worst part was discovering that the person standing beside him during the collapse was the friend who helped build the house. Ethan said very little that night. Perhaps some part of him understood that there was nothing worth saying. Certain moments existed beyond language. Explanations would not change facts. Excuses would not reverse actions. Apologies would not restore trust. Eventually, Ryan left the house. Eventually, Claire sat alone downstairs. Eventually, the storm outside passed, but Ethan remained awake for the entire night. He sat in darkness, staring through the windows, while memories replayed inside his mind. He remembered meeting Claire for the first time at a friend's birthday party years earlier. He remembered proposing. He remembered promises. He remembered Ryan standing beside him at his wedding. That memory hurt more than all the others. Ryan had stood only a few feet away, while Ethan promised to spend the rest of his life protecting the woman he loved. At the time, Ethan had believed he was standing beside his brother. Now the memory felt poisoned. Morning eventually arrived. Sunlight entered the house as if nothing had happened. Cars moved outside. People walked dogs. Children rode bicycles. The world continued normally. Ethan hated that. He hated that the world continued moving while his own life felt destroyed. Over the following days, he discovered something strange about heartbreak. Heartbreak did not remain constant. It moved in waves. Some moments felt numb. Some moments felt unbearable. Occasionally, anger appeared suddenly and disappeared just as fast. Then sadness returned. Then confusion. Then emptiness. Claire tried explaining herself. Ryan sent messages. Both attempted to justify what had happened. Both spoke about loneliness, emotional distance, mistakes, and confusion. Ethan barely listened, because beneath every explanation existed one simple truth. They had made choices. Not one choice. Hundreds of choices. Every hidden meeting had been a choice. Every lie had been a choice. Every secret had been a choice. Betrayal rarely happened by accident. Days later, Ethan returned to work. His employees immediately noticed changes. He spoke less, smiled less, stayed in his office longer. His focus seemed different. The warm, approachable man people respected had become quieter and colder. Pain was changing him, but pain was also sharpening him. Because once the emotional shock began fading, something else slowly replaced it. Questions. Ethan started thinking about details that had seemed insignificant before. How long had this been happening? Had it truly begun recently? Why had Ryan suddenly started spending more time around the house? Then another question entered his mind, a question far darker than the others. What if this betrayal involved more than emotions? What if Claire and Ryan had been hiding something else? Because suddenly Ethan remembered unusual financial transfers inside company records. Small amounts. Nothing large enough to attract attention. Nothing obvious. But now, nothing felt impossible. And for the first time since that night, Ethan stopped thinking like a husband. He started thinking like a businessman. And businessmen followed evidence, not emotions. Ethan spent the next several days doing something Claire and Ryan never expected. He stopped reacting. He stopped calling. He stopped asking questions. He stopped chasing explanations. People often expected heartbreak to create chaos. They expected screaming arguments, desperate confrontations, emotional breakdowns, and dramatic scenes. Instead, Ethan became calm. That calmness frightened Claire far more than anger ever could. Because anger meant emotions still controlled someone. Silence meant something else was happening. Silence meant thinking. Ethan returned to his office and reviewed months of business records. At first, he told himself he was only trying to distract his mind. Then he started noticing irregularities. Small payments, unusual expenses, transfers hidden beneath ordinary reports. None of the amounts were large enough to immediately raise concern. Individually, they appeared harmless. Together, they formed a pattern. Ryan had occasionally helped Ethan manage external supplier relationships for the company. Ethan trusted him enough to give him limited access to financial systems. Trust had made everything easier. Trust had also made everything vulnerable. As Ethan dug deeper, the truth slowly emerged. The affair had not been the beginning. It had been the symptom. Months earlier, Ryan had started redirecting company funds through shell contractors connected to fake projects. Small amounts disappeared repeatedly because small thefts rarely attracted attention. Ryan apparently believed Ethan was too busy to notice. Unfortunately for him, Ethan had built the company himself from almost nothing. Numbers spoke a language Ethan understood better than most people, and numbers rarely lied. Over the next week, Ethan quietly hired a financial investigator and legal advisors. He told almost no one. Not because he wanted revenge, because he wanted facts. Facts eventually arrived, and the facts were uglier than Ethan imagined. Ryan had taken money, Claire knew. Not only had she known, but records suggested money had been used for expensive trips and purchases Ethan never recognized. What hurt Ethan most was not the amount. It was the realization that while he had been working late nights believing he was sacrificing himself for their future, two people he trusted had been enjoying benefits created by his work. That realization finally killed something inside him. Not his love, not his anger, his innocence. Several weeks later, divorce papers arrived for Claire. Legal notices arrived for Ryan. Neither expected it. They expected emotional reactions. They expected forgiveness attempts. They expected negotiations. Instead, they received consequences. For the first time since childhood, Ryan discovered something important. Ethan had never been weak. He had simply been kind. There was a difference. The investigation eventually expanded. Additional evidence surfaced. Ryan's financial situation had secretly been collapsing for years. Debt had followed him quietly while he maintained appearances. The thefts had started small, then greed expanded. Greed usually did. Claire, meanwhile, had built fantasies around a future that never truly existed. During emotional affairs, people often imagine ideal lives because reality remains hidden. Ryan appeared exciting because responsibility did not exist inside fantasy. Ryan appeared attentive because ordinary life had never tested him. Reality eventually arrived. Reality always arrived. Within months, legal pressure destroyed Ryan financially. Friends Friends who once supported him slowly disappeared. Business contacts avoided him. Reputation collapsed faster than money ever could. Claire moved out of Ethan's house believing she had chosen a different future. But that future looked very different once secrets disappeared. Without Ethan's stability, Ryan's problems became impossible to hide. Debt, stress, legal costs, fear. The excitement that had once connected them slowly transformed into blame, then resentment, then distance. Eventually, even they stopped believing their own story, because the story had always depended on Ethan being absent. Without Ethan there, reality had nothing left to hide behind. Nearly a year later, Ethan sat alone in a small coffee shop downtown. Winter snow moved slowly outside the windows. For the first time in months, he felt something unfamiliar. Peace. Not happiness. Not yet. Just peace. Pain had changed him. But pain had also taught him things success never had. He learned loyalty was rare. He learned trust should be given carefully. He learned that some people loved comfort more than commitment. Most importantly, he learned survival looked different than he once imagined. Survival was not destroying people who hurt him. Survival was continuing to build a life after destruction. Months later, Ethan purchased land outside the city. He started building a new home. Employees noticed changes in him again. The coldness disappeared. The smile gradually returned. Not the old smile. Something quieter. Something stronger. One afternoon, while reviewing construction plans, Ethan looked at the workers building the house and thought about foundations. Years earlier, he believed strong walls protected people. Now he understood foundations mattered more. Weak foundations always cracked eventually, even if the house looked beautiful.